You're LeBron James. You came into the league wearing number 23. Now, eventually, it was to be the GOAT and to be supplanted.
Think about the greatest player of all time. It's still LeBron James in my...
The LeBron versus Michael Jordan debate has been beaten into the ground for decades. Rings, points, finals records, every angle has been exhausted. But every once in a while, someone drops a truth bomb that forces a conversation into new territory. This time, that someone is Stephen A. Smith, with Kendrick Perkins backing him up, and the discussion has officially moved beyond box scores. This is no longer just about greatness, it's about legacy, humility, and intent. According to Stephen A., LeBron James didn't just miss an opportunity to learn from Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time. He may have actively chosen not to. The question now isn't whether LeBron is great. That's settled. The real question is whether he ever truly wanted guidance from the generation that paved the road for him. Was it pride? Was it a desire to carve out a completely independent identity? Or was it a quiet but consequential decision that shaped how his legacy is viewed today? On today's episode of NBA Showdown, we break down this cold truth in 7 parts. And if you think you already know this story, think again. Stick around until the end. And if you appreciate raw, unfiltered NBA analysis, hit that subscribe button. When LeBron James entered the NBA, he didn't arrive as just another highly touted prospect. He came in carrying history on his back. The moment he chose to wear number 23, he invited comparison. That number wasn't random. It was immortalized by Michael Jordan. By putting it on, LeBron did more than show admiration. He accepted direct comparison before playing a single NBA game. That decision was bold, ambitious, and heavier than most people realized at the time. Stephen A. zeroes in on the symbolism of that choice in a post-Jordan era. Wearing 23 wasn't just homage, it was a statement. It said LeBron wasn't content with being the next great player. He was aiming for the mountaintop Jordan occupied. But here's where the contradiction begins. If you're going to embrace the symbol of the throne, shouldn't you also be willing to learn from the king who sat on it? That's the issue Stephen A. raises. LeBron's early actions suggested he wasn't walking alongside Jordan's influence. He was chasing him from a distance. Rather than seeking Jordan's insight, mentorship, or perspective, LeBron chose to forge his own path entirely. No conversations, no guidance, no bridge built between eras. Wearing 23 was a signal to the world, but what followed suggested something else entirely. IT showed a player determined to dethrone, not learn, to surpass, not consult. And while that independence helped LeBron build a legendary career, it also created a silent rift. A separation not rooted in animosity, but in philosophy. Jordan represented the old code. Earn it, endure it. Let others crown you that LeBron represented something new. Visibility, control of narrative, ownership of legacy. And that contradiction between wearing the symbol of Jordan's greatness while refusing to engage with the man behind it is where Stephen A. believes the fracture truly began. Not in championships, not in finals losses, but in approach. That choice didn't diminish LeBron's greatness, but it changed how people interpret it. And once legacy becomes about interpretation, not just accomplishment, the debate takes on a whole new meaning.
LeBron James, you came into the league wearing number 23. Now, eventually, it was to be the GOAT and to be supplanted.
Kendrick Perkins doesn't dance around the issue. He puts it plainly. The endless LeBron James versus Michael Jordan debate was not something that naturally grew out of fan arguments or media obsession alone. In Perkins' view, it was largely ignited by LeBron himself. From publicly calling himself the greatest of all time to repeatedly engaging in narratives that position him directly against Jordan, LeBron didn't just participate in the debate. He accelerated it. He poured gasoline on a fire that he now appears frustrated by. And that contradiction matters. BY inserting himself so aggressively into the GOAT conversation. LeBron created expectations that never allowed him to exist outside of Jordan's shadow. Instead of carving out an entirely separate lane, he willingly entered one that already had an undisputed king. That decision shaped everything that followed. Perkins highlights the irony. LeBron often speaks about respect, about history, about honoring those who came before him. But instead of approaching Jordan with curiosity, reverence, or desire to understand what truly defined his greatness, LeBron chose comparison. He chose competition over collaboration. He chose to challenge the throne rather than study the blueprint. And once you do that, there is no middle ground. You don't get to invite the comparison and then complain about the standard. You don't get to claim the crown and then reject the scrutiny that comes with it. Perkins makes it clear this wasn't media manipulation. This wasn't unfair judgment. This was self-inflicted narrative pressure. LeBron didn't just accept the GOAT debate. He claimed ownership of it. And once he crowned himself, there was no turning back. Every finals loss, every team change, every comparison became magnified. Not because the world demanded it, but because LeBron himself set that bar. Kendrick Perkins' point cuts through the noise. The GOAT war didn't start with analysts. It didn't start with fans. It didn't start with social media. That started the moment LeBron James decided to stand toe-to-toe with Michael Jordan and declare himself equal or greater.
A lot of this, with far as Jordan and Bron relationship, is self-inflicted by LeBron.
For Kendrick Perkins, there's a very clear breaking point. The exact moment the dynamic between Michael Jordan and LeBron James shifted. It wasn't a playoff loss. It wasn't a finals defeat. It was the moment LeBron publicly declared himself the greatest of all time. That statement was not just a soundbite for television or confidence spilling over in an interview. It was a declaration that echoed across the entire league. And according to Perkins, it didn't sit well with many veterans, legends, and especially with the man widely regarded as the true GOAT, Michael Jordan. This wasn't about personal disrespect. It was about bypassing tradition and NBA culture. Greatness is not claimed. It is bestowed. Michael Jordan never announced himself as the greatest. Kobe Bryant never said it. Tim Duncan never said it. Bill Russell, with 11 championships, never said it. Their legacies were forged through performance and validated by peers, rivals, and history itself. Till LeBron broke that unwritten code. When he called himself the greatest, he skipped the process of generational recognition. He moved past the silent acknowledgement that legends earn over time and instead tried to finalize the debate with his own voice. And according to Perkins, that changed everything. That moment likely closed doors, not just with Jordan, but with other all-time greats who believed humility was part of the journey to immortality. Instead of building a bridge to the legends who came before him, LeBron may have burned it. Not intentionally, but undeniably. Perkins is careful to make one thing clear. In his personal view, LeBron James still ranks among the greatest players to ever touch a basketball. That belief hasn't changed. But he also admits that words have consequences. And those words push Jordan further away, reinforcing perception that LeBron was trying to write history himself, rather than allowing history to write him. In the end, that single declaration didn't just intensify the GOAT debate. It reshaped LeBron's relationship with the very standard he was chasing. And once that line was crossed, there was no walking it back.
See, when Bron self-proclaimed himself as the GOAT, I think right there was the start.
Stephen A. Smith makes one thing unmistakably clear. Michael Jordan does not hate LeBron James. There is no feud simmering beneath the surface. No bitterness. No hidden resentment. What exists between them is something far quieter and far more telling. Distance. There is no relationship. No mentorship. No bond forged between generations. And according to Stephen A., that absence is not accidental. Jordan is living life on his own terms. He does not chase relevance, headlines, or validation. He doesn't need social media attention or public praise. What he does possess, however, is a reservoir of wisdom earned through battles, failures, championships, and unmatched dominance. Knowledge that cannot be found in stat sheets or documentaries. Knowledge that can only be shared through connection. And that is where Stephen A. raises a real question. Why didn't LeBron reach out? Why didn't he seek counsel from the very man whose shadow followed him from the moment he entered the league? Why didn't he attempt to learn from the player whose path he was so often measured against? According to Stephen A., this isn't about blame. It's about a missed opportunity that LeBron chose independence. He chose to carve his legacy alone. That decision may have been rooted in pride, confidence, or the desire to define greatness on his own terms. But it came with a cost. The cost was brotherhood with the legend himself. The silence between Jordan and LeBron speaks louder than any box score, any ring count, or any debate segment. In a league built on lineage, mentorship, and symbolic passing of the torch, that torch was never handed over. And Stephen A. emphasizes his final truth. It was never because Jordan refused. It was because the door was never knocked on.